Hey guys, what is up? Kaze back here with another weapon review for you. This one is on the Doctrine of Passing. It is one of the weapons you can possibly get from a 9.0 or flawless card in Trials of Osiris. This one being a 320 pulse rifle that I got. It has some really nice perks on it for what it is. We're going to go over what those perks are and what they mean, what you would want to look for in this gun, and where you might find some use for it, some PvE and some PvP usage. First and foremost, any Adept weapon that comes from Trials is going to have Last Resort. Now this perk, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to get any experience for it, you don't have to spend anything on, it's just always there. So there's that. The three sights that came with it were the fast draw, which you can see on the gun right now, the red dot, which we're going to put on, and that's what that one looks like, and the rifle scope. Now I only used the first one in PvE, but the other two I did try some PvP, and I'll show you guys that later. Persistence is the longer that the weapon is fired, the more accurate it becomes. And this really just negates the stability. It's not that the weapon becomes more accurate, it's more stable. Braced frame is what I picked on mine, mainly because of the enormous amount of recoil. I know the stability says it's high, but trust me, it's not. The other option you have is small bore if you wanted to increase the range, but when I put small bore on, it was simply too unstable of a gun. It's really hard to get on target and stay on target. And last we have Hidden Hand. This one was a great perk to pick, but not super awesome for auto rifles. Let's go ahead and see some PvE usage though. This gun does actually have some use in PvE. Due to its extremely high rate of fire, it can actually take down enemies pretty quickly. It also does a great job of melting shields despite the lack of an element. The footage you're watching is me doing the daily heroic story, so enemies are level 41, and they're still dying pretty quickly as you can see. Even majors die in 1 to 2 magazines thanks to the sustained rate of fire that this weapon can provide. A lot of this is due to the persistence perk on my gun, but you know, yours probably will still have some success. The biggest challenge is the initial jerk that the recoil provides, but then when you get it under control, I feel like it does a good job of continuously burning whatever it is you're trying to kill, even if they're majors and ultras. Let's move on to some PvP. In the Crucible, this gun is actually pretty difficult to handle. I was originally using the same Red Death knockoff sight that you saw me using in the PvE section, but I found myself gravitating towards the rifle scope as it was the easiest for me to stay on target. The red dot was also pretty good too. While its extremely high rate of fire does a good job of scaring the crap out of your opponent, anyone worth their salt will know to start firing back immediately. This is where the weapon falls short. It is simply outclassed by most pulse rifles, scout rifles, and hand cannons due to its low impact and low range. It simply cannot compete at the range that pulse rifles and scout rifles can, and even hand cannons do a good job of challenging this gun. The only way you can effectively kill anybody in the Crucible is to start firing first, and even then, I found that some of the time I was getting outright killed by somebody who reacted fast enough and had a good burst weapon such as the Hawksaw or the Red Death. In doing this review, I felt very forced to try and use this gun. It didn't feel natural or fun to use this gun in the Crucible at all. It just felt very frustrating, even with the awesome perks that I happen to have gotten. This is pretty ironic when you consider the fact that this gun came from a 9.0 win in Trials of Osiris and has some of the best perks it could possibly have for what it is. But I digress. Let's move on to the overall review of this weapon. Overall, this weapon feels much like a resurgence of Atheon's epilogue from year 1. It's an auto rifle with extremely low impact and a high rate of fire that ends up falling flat in both PvE and PvP. While the gun did fare well in PvE as compared to PvP, I don't feel like it warrants a slot when much better raid legendaries exist out there that are considerably easier to obtain. What sense does it make to work your way through Trials to obtain this gun when you can buy, say, a Hawksaw or an Apple of Discord from a vendor for 150 legendary marks, which will be considerably easier to obtain than a 9.0? In conclusion, this is just not a weapon worth going out of your way for, especially what you need to do to get it. Even with the roll that I got, this weapon is ham-fisted at best and simply has no readily apparent usage. Maybe there's one out there that I haven't thought of, but I just don't see it. I shudder to think how horrible it would be to use this gun if you had a worse roll on it. To give this weapon a number, I would say probably about a 7 in PvE. It's not bad, it's just that there's better options out there, especially in the legendary group. In PvP, I would say it's about a 5.5. It's not as bad as the first curse, which I've also reviewed on this channel, but it's not much better. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this review, and I hope that you have a better drop than I do getting this gun, especially in a 9.0. I'm really looking forward to possibly getting the reflection some, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it. As always, leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you enjoyed the video or if you disliked the video. Leave a comment below on what weapons you may want to see reviewed next, and don't forget to subscribe for more Destiny content. I hope you have a good day.